Something shorter, she says. A nice, tidy little bob. Be honest with me. When did you last leave that salon and actually love what you saw? So many of us have walked out of that chair thinking, not quite right, and we couldn't name what was wrong. My friends, it was never your hair. It was the blueprint your stylist was working from. Here's what I've discovered. There's an optical reason certain cuts lift the face and others drag it down. It has nothing to do with fashion trends. Once you understand the principle, you'll see it everywhere, and you'll never leave a salon with the wrong cut again. Today, 3 haircuts, the optical science behind each one, and the exact words to say to your stylist so the result is right every time. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which of these 3 cuts belongs to your face and why. Most videos about haircuts for women over 60 show you what to ask for. This one shows you why it works. Because when you understand the optical principle, you stop guessing and start choosing. The reason so many of us leave with a cut that feels almost right, but not quite, is a knowledge gap. Not a style gap. Not a hair problem. A knowledge gap. And that is entirely fixable. We're going to look at 3 specific cuts together. I'll walk you through the visual science behind each one, the real body considerations, face shape, hair type, gray hair, and the precise conversation to have with your stylist before she picks up the scissors. The optical framework, that's what ties all 3 together. And once you have it, you'll understand every haircut decision that follows from here. Here's the thing about a granny cut. It isn't about length. It isn't about gray. It isn't about age. It's about where the weight of the cut sits and what direction the dominant lines run. When a cut places all its weight at jaw level, blunt, flat, running in a straight horizontal line across the widest point of your face, the eye reads that as width, not height. That's not a style opinion. That's how visual weight works. Most stylists aren't cutting your face, they're cutting your hair. And those are 2 completely different things. The human eye reads lines before it reads anything else, and every line has a direction. Vertical lines draw the eye upward. They read as height. Horizontal lines pull the eye sideways. They read as width. This is the same principle an architect uses when they want a room to feel taller. Same principle a dress designer uses when they want a silhouette to read as longer. A cut that ends in a flat horizontal line at the jaw, the eye follows that line outward, across. A cut that creates movement from the jaw up toward the crown, the eye follows that line upward. Lift is not magic, it's direction. Now, there's a second principle at work here, and this one surprises most people. Diagonal lines create movement, and movement reads as lightness. Rigid symmetry, on the other hand, creates stillness, and stillness, visually, reads as heavier. I'm going to come back to this properly, because when you understand it fully, it changes how you think about your whole face. For now, just hold on to it. Diagonal movement reads lighter than perfect symmetry. There's more to it than that, and you'll see why. Here's something worth naming directly. Our faces shift over time. The jawline softens, the crown loses some of its natural volume, the distribution of fullness changes. That's not a problem, that's information. The cutting system most stylists learned was designed for a different set of proportions. What worked in your 40s needs a recalibration now, not because something went wrong, but because the geometry changed, and the approach needs to change with it. Most stylists are working from a cutting system that was set years ago, and that system may not reflect the face you have today. That's not their fault. They learned it thoroughly. They apply it consistently. But there is a gap between the face you have now and the template they're working from. And that gap is why so many of us describe the same thing. We asked for one thing, and something slightly different appeared. By the end of today, you'll have the language to close that gap completely. So, the first cut, the one that applies the leading line principle in its clearest form, works on almost every face shape, and the reason it creates lift is surprisingly precise. Once you see it, the other 2 will make immediate sense. The face framing layered bob. Let's start with the optical principle behind it. Because the reason this cut works is more specific than you might expect. And once you see it, everything else follows. When layers are cut so they graduate from the jaw inward toward the face, shorter at the front, longer underneath, they create a diagonal. And that diagonal is a line with a direction. The eye picks it up the way it picks up any line. It follows where the line leads. In this case, the line leads inward and upward, from the jaw, angling toward the crown. The eye travels that path, and when the eye travels upward, the face reads as lifted. This is the leading line principle, and the lift it creates has nothing to do with volume. It has nothing to do with how much hair you have, how thick it is, or how much product you use. The lift comes from the angle, from the direction of travel. This is the framework we talked about at the start, now applied. Vertical direction creates upward read. A graduated diagonal layer is how you build that vertical read into a specific cut. That's why it works. So what does this cut actually look like, and what do you ask for? The graduation runs from the mid-ear down to the jaw. That's the face framing graduation, the diagonal we just described, built into the layers closest to your face. The crown gets its own separate layer set, internal layers that sit underneath and add volume at the top. These are different from the face framing layers. They do a different job. And the ends, this matters, point cut, not blunt cut. Blunt cutting creates a hard horizontal line at the hem. Point cutting breaks that line up, creates movement, and lets the diagonal read clearly. Length, anywhere from jaw to collarbone. That range is forgiving across almost every face shape. Now, which face shapes does this cut actually serve best? Let's find yours. If you're not certain of your face shape, pull your hair back, look straight at the mirror, and identify the widest point. Is it your cheekbones? Your jaw? Is the width and length roughly equal? Round faces, this cut was made for you. The diagonal draws the eye away from width and toward length. Square faces, the angled layers soften the jawline without erasing the definition. Heart faces, the weight at jaw level balances the wider forehead. Oval? Everything works on oval, including this. If your face is on the longer side, this cut still works. Keep the length at or below the jaw, and add volume at the crown rather than length below it. That keeps the proportions balanced without elongating further. Fine hair. I know some of you just hesitated. Here's the truth. For this specific cut, fine hair is the advantage, not the limitation. Graduated layers remove bulk where it creates width, and concentrate it where it creates height. Fine hair with this cut moves cleanly. The diagonal shows up clearly. There's nothing competing with the angle. Thick hair works well. Ask for internal weight removal using the channeling method. That means removing weight from inside the section, not with thinning shears on the ends. Thinning shears at the ends create a wispy, dated finish. Channeling inside the bulk is what you want. Gray or coarser hair. The natural texture of gray actually holds the shape of graduated layers beautifully. The wiry quality that can feel like a challenge elsewhere, here it's working for you. Thinning hair, yes. Keep the ends a little heavier for density. The internal crown layers do the compensating work at the top. One quick note on color. And this one is specifically for gray and silver hair. All over color in a single tone erases the dimension your layers create. When the hair reads as one flat shade, the diagonal disappears. The lift disappears with it. What works instead? Face framing dimension. 3 or 4 lighter or slightly contrasting pieces at the front, right where the framing layers are. Not highlights throughout, just at the front. That contrast is what makes the diagonal visible. And when the diagonal is visible, the lift is visible. Tell your colorist, face framing pieces only, at the front. Even 3 pieces makes a meaningful difference. 2 versions of this routine, and I mean that genuinely. Neither is the proper version. Quick version, under 5 minutes, no heat required. Towel dry by pressing, not rubbing. Rubbing disrupts the layer pattern. Spray a root lift product at the crown only, not throughout. Rough dry with your fingers pointing upward at the crown. Let the remaining 70% air dry. The graduated layers settle into their diagonal naturally. Finish by running your fingers through the ends only to define the movement. Elevated version. About 10 minutes with heat. Same start. Add a small amount of volumizing mousse to the roots only. Rough dry to about 80%. Use a round brush at the crown only. Lift and direct upward. One pass with a straightener on the face framing front sections, curving slightly inward toward the face. Finish with a small amount of smoothing serum on the ends only. Pause here if you want to note the product options. I'll give you those in a moment. For this cut, 2 product categories matter: root lift and finishing. Root lift, 3 options: budget, Tresemme Extra Firm Control Mousse, Target or Walmart in the US, Superdrug or Sainsbury's in the UK, under $8 or £5, mid-range, OGX Bamboo Fiber Strength Spray, Ulta or Target in the US, Boots in the UK, $10 to $18 or £8 to £12. Luxury, Redken Root Lift Spray, Ulta or your salon in the US, Space NK or John Lewis in the UK, $28 to $35 or £22 to £30. Finishing serum, 3 options: budget, Garnier Fructis Sleek and Shine Serum, Target or CVS in the US, Boots or Superdrug in the UK, under $7 or £4, mid-range, CHI Silk Infusion, Ulta or Amazon in the US, Boots or Salon in the UK, $15 to $22 or £12 to £16. Luxury, Kerastase Elixir Ultime Oil, Ulta or Sephora in the US, Space NK or John Lewis in the UK, $35 to $48 or £30 to £40. Pause, write those down, screenshot, whatever works for you. And here is exactly what to say. I want a face framing layered bob. The graduation should run from mid-ear down to the jaw. Please point cut the ends, not blunt cut. I want movement, not a hard line. I'd like internal layers at the crown for lift, but keep the weight around the face frame. For the framing, we're going for a diagonal. Layers that angle inward toward the face, not layers that fall straight down. You can say that. You can also show your stylist a photo. Search Pinterest for face framing layered bob silver hair over 60 or graduated bob gray hair mature women. Save 3 photos that show different angles of the same cut. When you walk in with the words and the images, you've closed the gap we talked about earlier. From both sides of the chair, that's cut 1, the face framing layered bob. 1 optical principle, 1 direction of travel. Clear, specific, and adaptable. The second cut uses a completely different mechanism. This one doesn't create a line. It uses the absence of rigid lines to do something that might surprise you, and it challenges something that most women and most stylists assume is always flattering: the modern textured shag. And this one starts somewhere different. Not with a line, with a question about symmetry. A question most haircut conversations never reach. If cut 1 felt right, hold on to it. If it didn't quite land, this one may be yours. Here's the question I want to start with. Is symmetry always flattering? Most people assume yes. Most styling advice assumes yes. Symmetry after 60 is not your friend. I'm going to say that plainly because most people won't. And here is exactly why. Our faces naturally develop more asymmetry over time. The 2 sides shift in their own directions, gradually and individually. That's not a flaw, it's what faces do. When a haircut is rigidly symmetrical, the same length, the same line, the same weight on both sides, it creates a contrast with those natural variations. The contrast makes every asymmetry visible. The eye picks up the differences and reads them as irregularity. But when a cut builds in deliberate movement and variation, when the layers are disconnected, when the ends are textured rather than precise, your face's own natural variation blends into the design. The irregularity disappears. The face reads as harmonious. And the eye reads what the cut creates: energy, movement, life. This is the principle we seeded earlier. Diagonal movement reads as lighter than symmetry. Here's the full picture. The shag is its application. So what does this look like in practice? disconnected layers. Shorter layers at the crown, longer layers at the ends, and the gap between them is intentional. This is not a mistake. It's the structure that creates the movement, the ends, razored or point cut throughout. Razoring creates microscopic texture at the very tip of each strand. That texture, almost invisible to the eye individually, creates the collective movement the whole cut reads as effortless. Precision cut ends would eliminate it entirely. Length is flexible. Collar, mid-neck, or shoulder all work. The movement shows at any of those lengths. And optionally, curtain bangs or a soft side-swept fringe at the front. This isn't required, but for faces where the fringe helps manage the forehead area, it becomes the most powerful part of the cut. The key thing to know, the slightly disheveled quality you see in this cut is the design. Not a styling shortcut. Not an unfinished look. The texture is the point. Before we go further, pause for a moment. Look at your face. Not to judge anything, just to read it. Is the width and length roughly equal? Or is one dimension clearly dominant? That answer shapes which cut serves you best, and it changes for this one. Long faces. This is one of your strongest options. The disconnected layers add horizontal dimension, and that dimension reads as width, balancing what the face already has in length. Square faces. The movement and texture in this cut soften the jaw angle in a way that a precise cut cannot. Texture and asymmetry are gentler on a strong jaw than any straight line would be. Heart faces, especially with the curtain bang option. The fringe distributes visual weight from forehead downward and creates balance. If your forehead is the widest point, the fringe is worth considering seriously. For very round faces, this cut works, but keep the length below the jaw to give the face a vertical element. Avoid very short disconnected layers at the crown, which would add width where the face already has it. Hair type, and this one has a clear favorite. Fine hair. The disconnected layer structure creates an illusion of density that doesn't exist in the hair itself. The secret is in how the stylist places the layers. Lighter, more frequent cuts inside the sections, rather than dramatic disconnections. Ask specifically for the invisible layers technique. The result reads as fuller than the hair actually is. Thick hair. This cut was built for you. The natural body and weight of thick hair gives the disconnected layers the structure to fall into their intended shape. The movement isn't manufactured, it's already there. Thinning hair. The cut works well if there's some natural fullness at the crown. If thinning is primarily at the top, keep that area lighter and focus the disconnected layers from the mid-shaft down through the ends. The lower layers carry the visual interest. Gray and white hair. This pairing is genuinely one of the best in styling. The coarser texture of gray amplifies the movement the cut creates. Every strand contributes to the visual texture. Gray hair in a textured shag reads as a deliberate editorial choice, one color note, and for this cut, it's the most important of the three. The textured shag rewards gray's natural texture more than any other cut. But there's one problem that can undermine even a perfect shag: yellowing. Gray and silver hair is porous. It picks up yellow undertones from minerals in water, from products, from time. When yellow sits in gray hair, the whole cut reads as faded rather than intentional. The fix is a gloss treatment or toner in a violet or blue base. Not permanent color, just a gloss. It lifts the yellow, and what comes forward is the true silver or white tone. With the right toner in place, gray hair in a textured shag reads as something chosen, something editorial. Not an absence of color, a presence. Search purple toning shampoo gray hair or blue gloss toner silver hair. Use between salon visits to maintain it. The styling routine for this cut is the most forgiving of the three, and I mean that as a genuine recommendation, not a consolation. Quick version, under 5 minutes. Apply a texturizing spray or salt spray to damp hair, working through the roots and mid-lengths, but stopping before the ends. Scrunch the hair upward and leave it. Let it air dry 60 to 70% of the way. One final scrunch to restore any movement that's flattened out. Done. No heat, no brush, no round brush. The less you do, the better it looks. Elevated version, 10 to 12 minutes. Same start with the texturizing spray. This time, rough dry with a diffuser on low heat, scrunching upward throughout the drying process. Finish with a small amount of lightweight pomade or texture cream pressed, not raked, through the ends only. Optional. A quick pass with a wand or iron on a few random sections for added definition. The air-dry version is genuinely the best version for most people. The mobility consideration here is real. If heat tools are a barrier, this cut doesn't need them. The texture the cut creates does the work. 2 categories for this cut: texturizing and toning. Texturizing, 3 options: budget, not your mother's Curl Talk mousse; Target, Walmart, or Amazon in the US; Superdrug or Boots in the UK, under $10 or £6. Mid-range, Kenra Platinum Silkening Mist, Amazon, Ulta, or Salon in the US, Salon Direct or Amazon UK, $14 to $20 or £10 to £14. Luxury, Bumble and Bumble Surf Spray, Sephora or Ulta in the US, Space NK or Cult Beauty in the UK, $30 to $38 or £26 to £32. Toning shampoo or gloss, 3 options: budget, Shimmer Lights Purple Shampoo, Sally Beauty or Ulta in the US, Superdrug or Boots in the UK, $12 to $16 or £8 to £11. Mid-range, Schwarzkopf Blonde Me Cool Blondes Shampoo, Sally Beauty or Amazon in the US, Boots or Superdrug in the UK, $16 to $22 or £10 to £14. Luxury, Kerastase Blonde Absolue Cica Flash Treatment, Ulta or Sephora in the US, Space NK or John Lewis in the UK, $42 to $55 or £35 to £45. Take a screenshot or note these down. You'll want them. Here's what you take into the salon. I want a modern textured shag with disconnected layers. Shorter layers at the crown, longer at the ends. The disconnection is intentional. Please razor or point cut the ends throughout. I want movement and texture, not precision. I'd like soft curtain bangs or a side-swept fringe if you think it'll work with my face shape. Please do not taper the neckline. I want to keep fullness there. For color, can we discuss a gloss or toner in a cool base to brighten my gray? Notice the last line. By bringing the color conversation into the same appointment as the cut, you're designing both elements together. The toner and the texture reinforce each other. That's intentional. Pinterest search, modern textured shag gray hair over 60, or silver hair shag haircut mature women. 3 photos, 3 angles, 1 cut. That's cut 2. The modern textured shag, built on harmony, not precision. The third cut is for the woman who's been circling short hair for years and never found the right version to ask for. It's the most structurally specific of the 3. There's a version of short hair that compresses the face, and there's a version that extends it. The difference is one thing, and we're going to name it exactly: the lifted crown pixie. And for some of you, this is the one you've been circling for years, thinking about it, nearly asking for it, and leaving with something safer instead. Let's start with what this cut is not, because that distinction is the whole thing. The granny pixie. Uniform length throughout. Crown the same height as the sides. Sides clipped close. Neckline trimmed hard. The eye reads a circle. The face reads compressed. The lifted crown pixie. Crown deliberately taller than the sides. Sides soft, textured, feathered. Neckline clean but not severe. The eye travels upward, jaw to sides to crown. The vertical axis of the face extends. These are not variations of the same cut. They are optical opposites, and one question determines which one you get. Did your stylist design the crown first? Short hair doesn't age you. The wrong short hair ages you. That distinction is everything. Here is the third optical principle, and it's the strongest structural tool in this entire framework. The vertical line. When height is created at the crown, the eye reads that height before it reads anything else. It follows the line upward, from jaw, up the sides, to the crown. The vertical axis of the face extends. 2 things follow from that upward read. The face appears taller, and the jaw appears lighter, because the eye is spending its attention higher up. It's the same principle a narrow vertical stripe uses to lengthen a garment. Same principle ceiling height cabinetry uses to make a room read as larger. The eye follows vertical direction and reports height. The granny pixie eliminates that vertical line. Crown equal to sides, circle shape, eye reads width. The lifted crown pixie is built on it. Crown taller, eye travels up. This is the architectural version of everything we've been building toward. What does this cut require, technically? Crown height is the non-negotiable. Everything else is secondary to that. When you sit in the chair, the first thing you say is, "The crown comes first." Design the height at the crown before anything else is cut. Sides, soft and textured, feathered or tapered, either works. What doesn't work is clipped close. Close clipped sides remove the contrast that makes the crown height visible. Neckline, clean but with a soft edge, not trimmed hard, not severe. The softness at the perimeter lets the crown be the architecture rather than the whole haircut reading as geometric. Optional. For heart-shaped faces or wider foreheads, a soft side-swept fringe or curtain fringe at the front. Not required, but where the face benefits from it, the fringe becomes the most precise tool in the cut. For thick hair specifically, channeling at the interior sides removes weight without eliminating structure. Thinning shears may be used at the sides, but never at the crown. The crown holds its height from strand density. Thin it there, and the height disappears. Face shape, and this is the cut where it matters most. Round faces. This is your strongest candidate. The vertical crown is the single most powerful counterbalance to horizontal facial width. Where the face naturally reads wide, the crown reads tall. The contrast is the balance. Heart faces. The crown volume fills the upper section of the face in a way that balances the smaller jaw below. Natural proportion, top and bottom meeting, square faces. The cut works. Add a slight softness or subtle curve at the sides rather than a hard taper. The softness at the perimeter counters the jaw definition without erasing it. Long faces. Proceed with intention. The vertical crown adds height a long face doesn't need more of. Moderate the crown height. Add some width at the sides. The goal is proportion, not maximum height. If you haven't confirmed your face shape yet, pull your hair back. Identify the widest point. That one answer changes the technical brief for this cut more than for any of the others. The salon script for this cut, and the priority instruction is the first line. I want a lifted crown pixie, not a uniform or helmet-shaped cut. The crown needs height and volume. That's the priority. The sides should be soft and textured, not clipped close. If my hair is thick, please use channeling at the interior sides to remove weight, but keep the crown full, no thinning there. I'd like a soft edge at the neckline, not severe. The goal is lifted at the crown, soft at the sides, feminine and modern. Pinterest search, lifted crown pixie silver hair over 60. Or, modern pixie gray hair mature women crown volume. 3 images, multiple angles, give your stylist the full picture. And one more thing, worth saying before we move on. This isn't about being bold for the sake of it. It's about the cut that most accurately expresses the vertical architecture your face actually needs. That's not a compromise, that's a decision. You now have 3 cuts, 3 optical principles, and 3 scripts. But before we go into the full pre-appointment system, I want to name something. The appointment preparation is where most women lose the result before the conversation even begins. Not the cut itself, not the stylist. What happens in the room before a single strand is touched. That's what we're doing next. You came in today thinking the problem was your hair. It wasn't. Every woman who makes this shift says the same thing. Not I look younger, but I finally look like myself. That's the difference between guessing and knowing. You now have the complete optical framework, the vertical line, the leading diagonal, the movement of asymmetry, 3 principles that explain every styling decision that follows from here. And the question you brought with you, which cut is mine? You have that answer now, with the language to make it real. But here's what I want you to know before you close this. The cut is only one part of the picture. The women in this community who've made this shift, every single one of them says it wasn't just the haircut, it was the whole frame. And the second piece? Most women over 60 are still getting it completely wrong. When the cut and the frame align, that's when you stop looking like you got dressed and start looking like yourself. Click here and watch this next. I'll show you exactly what to change and why it makes more difference than the haircut ever could.